Who is this man? And why is he turning his back on us? In Romanticism, painting landscapes became very fashionable. Landscapes that showcased the forces of nature: storms, fog, winds, rain, snow. This was what these men called the sublime, and it aimed to reflect what the artist felt inside, like expressing emotions, and the more extreme, the better. A landscape both external and internal. Friedrich was one of the pioneers of this concept of the sublime. Here, we see a man turning his back on us, likely with an expression of awe as he contemplates the incredible landscape before his eyes. And as in Friedrich's other paintings, this artwork is not merely a landscape, but carries a symbolic meaning. The fact that this man is shown from behind, with his face hidden, has been the subject of analysis and interpretation. Some argue that by doing this, the artist prevents the character's features from distracting attention from the landscape. On the other hand, it has also been suggested that the absence of a face better conveys the idea of the individual's dissolution into the whole of nature. But if you've ever seen this artist's paintings, you may have noticed that this is not the first time Friedrich has painted his characters from behind. In almost all of his works, you will find a human figure gazing at the horizon but never facing the viewer. His paintings of solitary figures in mysterious and somber landscapes became a vital visual component of the German Romantic movement. Nature was a central theme in Friedrich's art, and the artist rarely depicted close-ups of people in his paintings. The figures in his art are often distant and small, overwhelmed by the majesty of the natural world surrounding them. Inspired by his Christian faith, Friedrich saw the presence of God in his creation. For him, landscapes were the perfect subject through which he could explore spiritual and religious thoughts. Because of these underlying themes, Friedrich's landscapes are sometimes considered metaphorical, as the light and wonder of nature can symbolize the divine in his work. However, even though we may have an idea of why Friedrich chose to paint this man from behind, his identity remains a complete mystery. There are several theories about the identity of the Wanderer. One theory suggests that the figure depicts Colonel Friedrich Gotthard von Brincken, a heroic Saxon officer who fought in the wars of liberation against Napoleon. If this suggestion is true, the painting could be interpreted as a patriotic tribute. In Germany, the resistance movement against Napoleon began around 1812, following the disastrous start of Napoleon's Russian campaign. Friedrich painted his Wanderer Above the Sea of Fog in 1818, 3 years after Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo in 1815. Friedrich had moved to Dresden, in the Kingdom of Saxony, in 1758. By the time he created this painting, he had been living there for 20 years, and it is plausible that he wanted to honor one of the heroes of his adopted home. Other theories about the painting suggest it could be a self-portrait, as the artist was known to have red hair. However, there is little evidence to support this theory, though it remains an intriguing possibility worth discussing. The theory that Friedrich painted Wanderer Above the Sea of Fog as a self-portrait is not far-fetched when one examines the life of this enigmatic artist. As I mentioned earlier, Romantic artists did not merely capture landscapes, they infused them with their internal torment and their worldview, deeply shaped by personal tragedies. Friedrich was born on September 5, 1774, in Greifswald, a port city in northern Germany. From an early age, he was familiar with death, a constant presence that would shape his introspective and melancholic character. He was the sixth of 9 children, but his childhood was far from idyllic. At the age of 7, he suffered the loss of his mother, a devastating experience for such a young child. However, this was only the beginning of a series of family tragedies. Just a year later, he lost his sister Elizabeth, who died from smallpox. Later, another of his sisters, Maria, passed away from typhus. Each loss added an emotional weight that Friedrich carried in silence. The most traumatic event of his life occurred in 1787 when Friedrich was 13 years old. While playing on a frozen lake, the ice gave way beneath his feet and he fell into the water. His older brother, Johann Christoph, rushed to save him and managed to pull him out. However, in the process, Johann lost his own life. This tragedy deeply marked Friedrich, filling him with guilt and sorrow that would follow him for the rest of his life. It has even been suggested that his obsession with ice and winter landscapes in his paintings may be directly linked to this event. Works such as The Sea of Ice evoke a sense of desolation that speaks both of nature and of human fragility. Perhaps the painting also relates to the death of his brother. Friedrich was a reserved man who found solace in solitude. His nocturnal walks became something of a ritual. He walked under the faint light of the moon, exploring landscapes that he would later translate onto his canvases. In these walks, Friedrich found inspiration to capture the majesty and mystery of nature. The theory of the self-portrait in Wanderer Above the Sea of Fog is supported by personal details about the artist. Friedrich's life was also marked by a constant struggle with depression. Over the years, he experienced episodes of profound melancholy that further isolated him from the world. It is possible that this painting was a representation of Friedrich himself confronting the uncertainties of life, symbolized by the fog enveloping the landscape. Although Friedrich achieved some success during his lifetime, his popularity declined toward the end of his career. He became increasingly solitary, unable to adapt to the changing tastes of the art market. In 1835, he suffered a stroke that left him partially paralyzed and almost incapable of painting. He spent his final years in relative obscurity, forgotten by many. He died in 1840, leaving behind an artistic legacy that would not be fully appreciated until decades later. While we may never know for sure if Friedrich portrayed himself in this painting, the possibility makes it an even more intriguing work. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think this mysterious man is Friedrich himself, or could it be a tribute to the colonel who fought against Napoleon? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you'd like to collect a painting by this artist for your home, now you can do so through our website. In our catalogue, you'll find a selection of their finest works, along with many other artists, allowing you to bring a true masterpiece into your home to cherish for a lifetime. We offer free shipping worldwide. And by purchasing from our store, you'll not only receive an exact reproduction of your favorite painting, but also support the creation of more videos like this one. Thank you so much for your support, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next video.